All right. Welcome into the Seattle ONTAP podcast. Today, George, got to talk some Seahawks. Of course, we had another preseason game. And I guess for me, some good signs from the offense and the defense again. And in general, we talked about this last episode. We don't love to take everything out of preseason, but I usually lean towards taking the good out of it rather than the bad because you're not really sure which one's actually what parts of preseason are the real deal or not.
Yeah, that's a very fair way to look at it. What's the good you take out of the preseason?
You're listening to the Sports on Tap Seattle podcast. I'm Sammy, and with me, as always, is my older brother George.
Your favorite place to be a fan of Seattle sports. Now let's get this party started.
Well,
I have one.
I'm saying the good is the way the defense looks, and I don't know what that means exactly sometimes because you don't know what that means against first string competition or in a full regular season stretch, but I love all the young pieces like Derek Hall and Mike Morris looking good and the corners looking good. And it feels like the Mike McDonald effect of making these young players come out of their shells is already starting to show up in some facet.
That's a very fair way to look at it. I take out Sam Howell. Looks like a legit backup quarterback in the NFL. Like if Gino ever got hurt or Gino didn't play well or Gino's disappointing and you want to bring in Sam Howell, he looks like he's a serviceable quarterback in the NFL. He's good enough to start a few games, maybe start multiple games. Just he looked good. I mean, that fair. No other way to say it.
Yeah, and I mean, this is again why I was saying that you don't. I try to take away the good out of the bad because at the end of the day, you can look at it on the negative way, right? Which is a lot of these the throws and the way he's playing is probably against second or third stringers, right?
Yeah.
And last year against first stringers, he threw 21 picks and 21 touchdowns. But that's not the point of preseason. The point of preseason is to say what you just said, which is, hey, this guy came in and he might not be excellent or phenomenal, but he came in and looks like a guy. If we have an injury at quarterback this year, like we did last year, can he be Drew Lock and come in and win a game like Drew Lock did against the Eagles? It looks like he could probably be that guy, which is the important part. He's the guy that you can. We knew that because he played a full season last year, and he has flashes of being really good and flashes of just being turnover prone, like the 21 touchdown, 21 pick thing. But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing for the Seahawks right now is we obviously know Gino Smith is the starter, but can Sam Howell step in if necessary for an injury or whatever it may be? And that is, to your point, the excitement about it is seeing a quarterback come in and say, okay, we might be all right at backup.
Yeah, I would sit here and say, like, I didn't know we're going to be doing this today, but the ultimate quarterback backup rankings in the NFL, we might be in the top 6 or 7 best backup quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean,
you want to do this? Do you want to play this? I think it's fun.
Honestly, there's too much to think about for that.
No, I just think like it takes like 30 seconds. You just look at the teams like, okay, like I would say in the AFC West, we have the best backup quarterback.
We're not in the AFC West. So
sorry, NFC West. No, second best. I'd say Jimmy Garoppolo might be slightly better than Sam Howell.
Maybe, I don't know. The way Jimmy Garoppolo's played the last time he was a starter was not very good. And he's older, so you never know if the age actually caught up. But I'd probably, if we had Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't know. He might be better than.
He might not. He might not. So let's put I think this is a fun little exercise. That makes him the second best backup in the league. Like from people I can actually know who their backups are. Falcons. I would say Penix is ahead of him.
Also one of those that we're not really sure, but I would rather have Penix.
Okay, so that makes him third. Packers, Vikings, Bears. I don't know their backups. Cowboys, Trey Lance or Sam Howell?
That's like a toss-up also. I mean, you know what the problem with this exercise is, George?
What's that?
A lot of these backups, there's a reason they're backup quarterbacks. And so it's
Absolutely.
like they're all kind of like, well, I don't know. Maybe if you got an opportunity, Trey Lance is like the same as like Sam Howell, which is the same as like Carson Wentz, which is the same. To me, it's
Which
like,
one's
I don't
better?
know.
Just throw a name. That would make him 4th or 5th now. Sam Howell.
I can't. I don't know. They're all the same to me. All the guys you named.
Drew Lock or him. I have him ahead of Trey Lance, I guess, because he's at least played a season.
I mean, Drew Lock, as of right now, at least I saw Drew Lock. I don't know. They're exactly the same.
Okay, I'm gonna put him ahead of Drew Lock just slightly, just for fun. The rest of these teams: Chiefs, Broncos, Jaguars, Mac Jones.
Chiefs have Carson Wentz. He's probably better than Sam Howell, even though he had a couple seasons.
Okay, let's have him. We'll put Sam Howell at 5th. You got Joe Flacco with the Colts.
He's probably more reliable, but I don't know if he's better.
Let's put Sam Howell at 6. Mac Jones or Sam Howell?
Mac Jones led the team to the playoffs.
All right, he's 7th.
Like,
I said he's top.
They did make the playoffs year one.
Yeah, they did. So I said 7th. I don't think he's better.
He's not better than the 2 quarterbacks in Pittsburgh, even if we don't like Russell Wilson or Justin Fields.
So he's 8th. Jake Browning or Sam Howell?
Based on last year, Jake Browning.
Okay, so 9th, and then Patriots, Bills.
So we do not have the best.
Okay, so we have the 9th, around the 9th best, top 10 backup quarterback in the NFL.
9th or 10th or 11th, probably somewhere range. Because
which is good.
There's a guy like
top.
Because we don't really know after 1 year. There's a guy probably like Jacoby Brissett out there that might be better than Sam Howell. Realistically, we don't know because of like
we don't know
age and experience, but realistically, might be better than Sam Howell. But
I'm just gonna say,
why not
top 3rd?
We have a reliable quarterback as a backup, maybe.
He's
not better. He's not better than Jameis Winston. You missed another one.
Oh, Jameis, yeah, not Jameis. Okay, but here's what's funny. Like,
he's leaning towards potentially being in the middle of the class, not even in the top 3rd. Like he's looking to be in the top half more than top 3rd. Potentially.
Okay.
Here's what I'm going to say.
I know this was just joking.
It all depends on the problem is most of these guys. It all depends on. If they actually got an opportunity, we have to actually see them, right? Because it's like Jameis hasn't got a real opportunity in like 2 years. Sam Howell got an opportunity last year, but it was like his first year, and he threw the ball more than anybody in the NFL, and that's why he showed signs of greatness and some signs of throwing picks. And it's like Carson Wentz, could he be good again if he got an opportunity? But that's so hard with backups, Like I just feel like who knows with these backups? Like if they actually got their chance, like Joe Flacco last year. Who would have fucking thought?
My point is here, Sammy. We have a backup quarterback.
Yeah, it's not
every team.
It's not PJ Walker.
Yeah, no. The thing is here, Sammy. Like this is like one of those things with the preseason, and that's why I'm laughing. And I was like, honestly, you try to find conversations out of things because like your rosters, we can't really take away as you started with the podcast. Can't really take away that much out of preseason. So like we're ranking backup quarterbacks today.
Well, I had a lot more to talk about. You were the one who wanted to rank backup quarterbacks. But
I know. But
mean,
that's where my mind goes with preseason. Like I really I'm ranking backup quarterbacks.
Yeah, my mind doesn't go that like into like a dead space. But like my thing is like at the end of the day, because first like actually, to your point, if you think preseason doesn't matter much, like ranking backup quarterbacks for me even falls further on the list of doesn't matter because it's like, I don't even know what this means. All I take out of that game and what I see from Sam Howell is not that I don't know if he's a top 3rd or a bottom 3rd backup quarterback in the league, but all I know is like there's some level of being competent out there, which is what matters when you have a backup quarterback. You're like, oh, okay, this wasn't like a complete disaster. Like this is not a shit show out there. So like, it's not like, no offense. I love this guy on the Seahawks. Like I think everyone also has a sweet spot for him for some reason, but like, it's not like Seneca Wallace being your backup quarterback.
Right. Seneca Wallace, by the way, not a great starting quarterback, but a pretty damn good hooper. Saw him at the Linwood 24-hour fitness and he was dunking on people. So I don't know if he's a better hooper or better backup quarterback, but everyone has the Seneca Wallace story.
I mean, I think I feel like every NFL athletic player is pretty good LA Fitness.
I also saw him at a movie theater one time with
Nice.
Mike Holmgren, actually.
That's so random.
That's pretty
Nice.
cool. Him and Mike Holmgren went to a movie together. Like, nice.
Interesting. Well, my point really about it was he's not as bad as Seneca Wallace at quarterback.
Yeah,
Seneca Wallace was an athlete. He could
remember
catch.
when
He could do
he
like
played wide receiver a couple plays.
yeah, he had a catch in the playoffs once.
Yeah.
But he's not a very good quarterback. With Sam Howell, you have a potential to actually have a quarterback sitting there in case of emergency. And I think we'd be in an okay spot, or be fast forwarding to what potentially, even if that's not the Seahawks, what they exactly wanted, you'd be potentially fast forwarding to like what could be part of the future. Even if that's not what they want right now, it's a possibility. Because, and the reason I say that, like when you look at these situations in the NFL sometimes, I think the Seahawks, for example, if Michael Penix fell to them this year, I think they would have taken him. He got picked too early from where they're at.
Too.
Sometimes you're forced, and like, because like if we're okay again this year, you're 9-8 or 10-7 or even 8-9, you're not really picking in a quarterback spot. They're like a super quarterback friendly spot. So sometimes you get forced into like, do we have to just try a year of Sam Howell, or do we have to try a year of? Yeah, I feel like we see a lot of teams have that year of like, what's a good example?
You know what happens when you have a year of Sam Howell as your starting quarterback?
What?
You end up picking second in the draft or third in the draft. And
Okay.
kidding.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, give
quarterback.
the man, they were so poorly coached, and he was a rookie, right? So it's like, give the man a break a little bit. Like, we don't know if that was really
but to your point, we have not been bad enough to ever be in a position where we can draft that future quarterback. We got lucky with Russell Wilson that we picked him up in the third round. We've just never. When was the last time the Seahawks were so freaking bad and they're picking a place where they can?
We picked fifth last year, but we weren't. That was Denver's pick.
Yeah, that was Denver's pick. I'm just saying,
but we did pick fifth last year.
Yeah,
I had a chance, but in the Seahawks' defense, Gino Smith was coming off a way better season than he came off last year, which I still don't think his season last year was that bad. I think there was a lot more that goes into it. The offensive line being bad and the defense being bad, and Shane Waldron's being an awful offensive coordinator. But they were coming off a career year for Gino, which it probably just didn't make sense for them at that time to completely shut it down and rebuild with a new rookie quarterback. So I was like, I think that's why they didn't do it. But that's what's tough for the Seahawks is I don't think before that fifth pick, I don't think we picked in the top 5 since like the 90s almost.
No, we had that year where we picked Aaron Curry 4th overall, I think.
Yeah, that was 2000, what, like 3?
Yeah, I don't remember. But yeah, it was just like we never, ever feel like we're picking in a place where like, man, this team can go get like, the top quarterback in the draft.
Aaron Curry was 4th or 3rd, I think, but I just want to remember where we picked 6th in 2010.
That was Russell Okung, right?
Yeah. And like, I guess they didn't want a quarterback at that time yet. Aaron Curry was 4th. So, okay, we were picked 4th in 2009 and 6th in 2010. But like we're talking about since Pete Carroll's been like since that hiring and they drafted all those guys. I mean, that year they drafted Akun, Thomas, Tate, Walter Thurman, Cam Chancellor. Very good draft.
Pretty good draft.
They never ever inched anywhere close. They were in the 20s almost every single year, with the exception of 2022 picking 9th, and then obviously last year picking 5th. Even this year they picked 16th. So there's not been many opportunities for a new quarterback. And we haven't needed it, to be honest.
Exactly.
In terms of we could have used it, but I don't think we've needed it. And this is where I think the interesting part's going to come. Like with Gino and are we going to need to trade up to the 3rd pick like the 49ers did for no reason for a guy like Trey Lance that we don't know if he's going to work? Or do you, if your roster is good enough, do you transition into Sam Howell and see what the hell happens?
I don't know, but the thing you just said was really interesting to me because the reason I say I don't know is because of what you said. I don't feel like we've been in a position since I've been a fan where we've had a disaster at quarterback. A disaster. I'm not saying like Tarvarius Jackson wasn't a great quarterback, but he definitely wasn't a disaster. Since I became a fan, Warren Moon, John Kitna, Matt Hasselbeck, Tarvarius Jackson, Russell Wilson, and now Gino Smith.
Yeah, I would say 2008 through 11. That's what I'm looking at here. There was some disaster in there and some not, but it wasn't disaster. Problem was like, so we look at Matt Hasselbeck had it under control for a while. Trent Dilfer as the backup, Seneca Wallace in there. But 2008, because of injuries, we had Charlie Fry, 1 game, Matt Hasselbeck 7, Seneca Wallace 8. The next year was fine. Seneca only played 2 games. And then you had 2010, Hasselbeck for 14 games, Charlie Whitehurst for 2. I think 2011 is the only year I'd say was somewhat disastrous. And that's, remember, like, this is when we were picking high, pick 6th that year. Tarvarius Jackson for 14 games and Charlie Whitehurst for 2 years. That's probably the only year you could say was bad.
It was bad. Right? Yeah, but I just don't think it was like disaster. It wasn't like disaster.
You wouldn't consider that disastrous?
No, because
Tarvarius Jackson, to like this, dude. Look how consistent this been.
Oh,
Jim Zorn, Dave Craig. This was okay. Maybe this was a disastrous year. These two, whatever these were.
No. I'm just saying, like, T-Jack was never that bad. I mean, he came from Minnesota where he started. Like, he wasn't. No, he's not. He wasn't good either. But like, I never would say we had a time where the Seahawks were like, we are the worst quarterback situation in the NFL.
I want to see what his stats were that year, because that was like maybe like. That could maybe tell me. What was it, 2011?
Yeah.
14 touchdowns, 13 picks.
Yeah, like
a little Sam Howell-ish type.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Look, it wasn't great. I'm not going to be telling our grandkids about
but it wasn't era. Like, it's not like Jamarcus Russell.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, we haven't had that. We haven't had a time where, like, damn, this team can't even.
That's like our most disastrous year.
Like we can't go 1-6. We win 1-16 because our quarterback sucks.
Yeah, we haven't had any of those situations. And then it was just pure consistency. Damn, Russell Wilson did not miss a game for all those years.
No, like, I mean, like, man, I'm just telling you this. Like, I haven't been in that situation in my lifetime, really. So that's why I've never, like, when you're like, yeah, you know, we just don't know what it feels like, and we're not there right now either. So, like, yeah, I just don't know what it feels like to have a disastrous quarterback and then have no idea what I'm going to do, and then go and like get the first pick of a draft. And I don't know, the Bears last year, for example, Justin Fields, I guess, wasn't disastrous.
It wasn't,
but you know what I mean?
They've never had a quarterback, so
they just never had a quarterback.
Same with the Browns. Like, they literally give Deshaun Watson $200 million. He becomes the worst quarterback like in the league.
Probably should go back to getting massages.
I'm not a massage joke type of guy. This is a Tarvarius Jackson, Charlie Whitehurst is our worst year though in franchise history, potentially outside of like some of these injury riddled years, maybe 1991. To consider that, it's extremely impressive to have Russell Wilson here for 10 straight years, pretty much not missing a game. It's very impressive, which is why I don't even know how to consider, like you said, what we would even potentially do given the circumstances. Because let's say we go, the thing is, George, we're not going to go like 6-11 most likely. Like with what we have on the team.
Even if you do, that's not a place where you're picking top 5 for a quarterback.
You could be picking like 5 to 7. I mean, Michael Penix went 8 or 9. Like, you can get a quarterback there. I just don't. I would be shocked if we're not picking. I'd be shocked if we're picking in the top 10 any of the next year or two.
Me too.
So
I agree.
Like, if that's the case, because 6 and 10 will put you in the top 10 potentially, depending on what the scenario is. Because most teams win at least 3 or 4. Yeah, I would assume, because Falcons, we're 6 and something. They were like 8th. So at the end of the day, I don't know what our plans are for the future. Gino has this year and next year. I don't know if there's going to be a transition to Sam Howell. I don't know if there's going to be a drafted. We're going to risk it on a 3rd rounder again and see what's up. But at the end of the day, to circle back, the biggest takeaway was Sam Howell can play football. And that's all we need for now because we need a backup in case what happened last year, Gino gets hurt. Or if
Right.
Gino actually regresses, which I have a feeling he's going to have a good season with Ryan Grubb and the upgraded offensive line. But if he regresses, it'd be important to have.
I agree. And I hope he doesn't regress. Actually, hope he just takes a step up in a weird way with this Ryan Grubb offense. I actually think Gino's going to take a step up this year. I think I think Gino's going to have the best season of his career.
As long as he's healthy, he's going to have a phenomenal season.
Yes, I agree with that.
I think a lot of, and this is not a hate towards Gino. This is actually more of a compliment, maybe towards our personnel and our coaching staff, bringing a guy like Ryan Grubb in, especially in the first year before. And I'm hoping that stays like that. But I think before the NFL figures out what Ryan Grubb does, like I have a feeling the first year is going to be very successful on the offensive side of the ball as long as the quarterback's healthy and making the right plays. And Gino Smith will with the personnel. It just all depends on health because there was a little bit of a beat up in the beginning of the preseason here, or I guess beginning of camp, and the age. But his mileage is not the same as everybody else's, which means there's a chance he should be healthy, I think. And if he is, it's going to be a really good season. And then defensive end, George, like I think I started with this part is you can kind of see already the guys like Mike Morris drafted last year already like making an impact. Byron Murphy already getting double teamed like left and right in the preseason. Derek Hall making impact plays. We're already bringing back Boye Mafe, Uchenna Nwasu, Leonard Williams, Jaron Reed, Jonathan Hankins, however you say it. I feel like from what I'm seeing, I don't care about points or wins or losses in the preseason, but you can just see that there's a new vibe and energy to the defense, whatever Mike McDonald's doing. And that's very important for me preseason wise, because I don't really care about the numbers behind it and stuff in the preseason.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. There is a good vibe. I think it's, like I said, I'm really looking forward to week 1 here and getting the season started because I think we're gonna have some fun Seahawks football this year. I'd like real fun.
I think it'd be fun with like some lockdown defense type of
yes
game,
I mean the problem is like last year we were so bad against the run and you wonder like is this personnel going to be able to stop the run, and I kind of think that I don't think we're going to be good against the run, but I think can we get to average and then really really good against the pass and then be a top 12 11 10 defense in NFL? I think so.
I think that by end of season the Seahawks will be a top, I'll say 12, not 10, top 12 run defense and a top 12 pass defense.
Okay, that's fair. I can see that.
At that point, if our offense is anywhere in the top 15-ish, like 15-ish, we should win 9 or 10 games.
And be a borderline playoff team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the goal. Yeah, and for year 1, that's amazing. That for year 1, and it's not even like he hasn't really got all his guys in there yet, and there's some leftover and building the culture. I would be very happy with that year.
Me too. My only thing I'll say, I guess, is the only way I wouldn't be happy with Steers, and this is, I think everything we say in preseason is with exception of injuries or a brutal loss of like, oh, we lost both our quarterbacks. Like I won't be disappointed. I'll understand. The only I would be pretty disappointed if we're like anything below 8 wins. Like we were a 9-8 team both years, back-to-back years. We've supposedly upgraded on the defensive side, coaching wise right now. I'm maybe not overall head coaching, but let's just say like defensive scheme or whatever it is. Upgraded the offensive line, upgraded pieces on the defense. There should be no reason unless players are disappointed or the coaching's not as good as we thought it was year 1 to have anything less than, 9 or 8 wins respectfully. Like it just depends obviously on injuries and bullshit.
Right. But... Yeah, I know. I guess for me, if I was to say we won 7 games, but that was ended the season, and hopefully this doesn't happen, on a 6-game win streak to get us to 8 wins because we were 1 in whatever that would be, 1 in 9. right? 1-8.
Yeah, or 1-9. There's gonna be
Whatever.
some real big issues.
Yeah, but then we ended the season on a 7-game winning streak to go 8-9. Or whatever. You know what I mean? What at the end of the day, I would like to see by the end of the season that this team is winning, 5 out of its last 7, 4 out of its last 6. Like just a hot end to the season, because I think that's just building blocks. It's better. I would rather that than to start off the season hot and fizzle down the stretch.
I totally agree with that. But I mean, it's gonna be real weird if we start.
No, yeah, we're not going to. But like,
Carol, I think there's gonna be some real big issues in that front office if that's the case. But we'll see. I guess I think at the end of the day, I agree. Obviously, that the most important part is to finish strong this coming year. To know that, like, moving forward, things are in a good spot.
Exactly.
I think that's what we all want.
Oh yeah.
Well, we'll be back soon. We are coming down the stretch of baseball season. We'll have some Mariners podcasts, even though they look like they have blown the season once again with no surprise. And Seahawks regular season starts in, what is that, like 18 days, 19 days, which is pretty exciting. It was 21 days on Sunday, so 19 days.
Wow, coming up soon.
It's coming up way faster than you think. So we'll stay tuned. You'll see a lot more of us, especially as we get a little closer to the season and during the season. As always, I'm Sammy on tap, and my big brother George on tap. And trying to think, do we have anything else to say, George?
No, like and subscribe though.
Like and subscribe. We are putting out a lot of blog content. If you want to go to our website, it's right there on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're not watching on YouTube, it's also on Spotify. Just type in Seattle on Tap, wherever you guys want to listen or watch. But SeattleOnTap.com, we have merch and a lot of blogs coming out recently. And it's at Seattle on Tap on all social media platforms. So thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe. We appreciate the support. And you know what we like to say, George.
Hey, thanks for stopping by.
And let me get a Go Hawks. Thank you.
Go Hawks.
A little Russell Wilson vibes.